Jody Colegrove with Quantum Techniques. We have developed a proven technique to quickly determine the root cause of your health issue using a form of energy medicine. I work with people all over the world on the phone, helping them determine why they're having a health issue and what they can do about it. So one of the things that we deal with each day is miasms, and these are generational passed down issues, okay? And so you may not realize that they could be running your life, and they could be things like illnesses, behaviors, or even thought patterns. So I'll give you kind of just a couple of quick examples. So family beliefs that can be passed down are we're failures, or we have to be in control, or I'm not good enough. You could have financial problems that are passed down, like we'll never have enough, or I can't save. You can have addictions like smoking, drinking, or drugs. You can also have diseases like hypertension, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. So a lot of times these gets passed down through our DNA through what we call microtumorism. I have to say that really careful. So these are example. I had this happen to me when I lived in a ponderosa pine forest for years, and me and my husband got married, and then we decided to have a child. And when we had our child, after he was born, and then we went into pollen season, the first year he was born, so he was probably about 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there. Well, as soon as that pollen hit, I got allergic to the ponderosa pollen, and so was my son. And I was like, I've never had a problem before. Well, what happened is my husband was bad on ponderosa pollen, and when we had our son, the DNA got passed to me, and so I got some of his DNA because of giving birth to our son. So it was the mixing of the DNA. And so that will happen with different generations. And so like sometimes kids will have an illness, and then their kids below that might, and things like that. So it's the sharing of the DNA. And so what we do is we find out with that microtumorism, when we're doing a quantum technique session, we find out what organs, glands, and tissues are affected, okay? Then we find out, what foods may have brought in those, beliefs, those problems, behaviors, diseases, okay? And those are things that could be like corn, wheat, dairy, gluten, nightshades, eggs, soy, citrus, sugar, chocolate, medications, shellfish. Latex is also another one. You've heard that allergy before. And so an example of this is I had a client once that he went along fine and didn't have any problems with foods or anything like that. And all of a sudden on his 21st birthday, he did. And when we were working together, we found out that his grandmother was put into a concentration camp at the age of 21. And ever since then, she hadn't been able to digest food very well. And that got transferred down through the generations at that time. And that sometimes can be at such a generational time frame that it can pass by the actual time. So what we do is we would find the organs, glands, and tissues that are holding that and clear it off of the organs, glands, and tissues, and also the cell, because the cell is what carries the memory of it. And so we would clear it off the mitochondria. So other toxins, sometimes there's other toxins that can bring these things in, and there are things like ingestants, inhalants, contactants, or injectants that can be involved. The other thing is that we do is then we can look at what is the generational component that has brought this in. And so a lot of times in the Bible, it says that our sins can be passed down to 7 generations. And I honestly think this is kind of what they're talking about, is that these kind of beliefs and things like that can be passed down. And when someone spends the time to say, I don't want this in my life anymore, and I don't want this in my life of my generations, I want to work on this. I want to work on my own personal stuff. And that's where healing begins, to work on it. And so we find out with generations, who is involved, what's the age, what was the trauma. And sometimes we don't need to know everything. It's just enough to know if this was, a death, if it was an illness, what was going on. We find out what emotions, beliefs, and intentions or vows were attached to these things and these beliefs. And then we always ask, do we need to know more than this? And if not, then we just go ahead and clear that miasm out of those organs, glands, and tissues so it no longer can continue. So that's how we handle, miasms with quantum techniques and energy medicine. So I look forward to helping you find out, what are those things that have been stuck in your generation for years that kind of continue to repeat. And you have the ability to say, hey, I am going to work on my stuff and I'm going to make my life better. I'm going to make my generations after me better. And so I would love to work with you at quantumtechniques.com. You can send me an email at jody@quantumtechniques.com, and we can do a session request, which is like an hour. And we work together to find out what those generational issue is that is continuing and to get it to stop. So I look forward to working with you, and blessings from Quantum Techniques.